Well, it seemed like a throwback to the roaring 90s when the Clintons spent more money on their daughter Chelsea's wedding than most people do on their first house. But it turns out their impulse to blow out the budget on the big day is not the exception, it is the American rule. The numbers show that even as families forego cars, appliances, and vacations, they continue to spend billions a year on big, fat, beautiful weddings. And tonight, Andrea Canning takes us inside the I Do industrial complex.
Everyone loves a wedding. The emotion.
I promise to always love you.
The party. The dress.
The train is what makes you a bride. The train and the veil. Otherwise, you're just a girl in a white, pretty dress.
How do you like this one?
Love it.
And even in tough financial times, the big wedding hasn't gone away.
I had this whole vision of my wedding day in my head since I was a little girl, so.
I just needed to fill in the blank next to you.
Yes, and here's the blank.
Kristen Patrick and Alex Mizzato gave themselves a budget. They're cutting themselves off at $75,000.
I work at the gym part-time as a fitness instructor, so my little gym checks that I get, we would put those in an envelope.
Which it took them 2 years to save, all to make Kristen's fairy tale come true.
I kind of grew up during the Princess Diana era where we saw her wedding on TV and the elaborateness of her wedding and her dress.
We're doing it once and we're doing it right, and
Yeah,
that's
exactly
it.
the way we wanted it.
Exactly.
They're not alone. When you add up those wedding essentials like catering and cakes, flowers and photographers, Americans spent $74 billion just to say I do in the last year.
Do you like a simple princess wedding?
Yes.
From the moment they got engaged, Kristen and Alex realized their $75,000 would have to be stretched. First, Kristen needed the Princess Diana dress.
I've always dreamt of a huge dress and a huge train.
The bigger the better.
But nothing, of course, compared to the cost of the florist.
This price point, if we add in a little bit of the green hydrangeas, it's going to be $150, and then without the green hydrangeas, it'll be like $125.
In the end, the flowers cost $4,500, all cash up front. In fact, in the course of just one day, they ran up quite the bill, from the photographer
So what are you looking for in terms of photography?
to the DJ
Dinner music, very quiet.
to the nail salon.
Let's come for a French pedicure.
French tips and pedicures for the bride, her mom, and sister were, relatively speaking, a steal.
Yeah, it's gorgeous.
That day alone accounted for over $9,000 in expenses.
It really has been like a third job. It just, I'm not getting paid for. I'm paying for it, you know?
That's on top of $20,000 in jewelry, $1,100 for stationery, $1,500 for the videographer, and don't forget the boudoir photography. That was $500. Money well spent for Alex.
Are you finding that people aren't willing to part with the wedding of their dreams, regardless of the money situation?
You know, we really see that some couples are willing to cut it down to very few people. What they're not willing to do, though, is to kind of give up the event in its entirety. We don't find a lot of people just running to City Hall and having lunch with their family for their wedding. They want to have an event.
Carly Roney is the editor-in-chief of TheKnot.com, a multi-platform wedding conglomerate.
How are people paying for these weddings with this bad economy?
They're staying engaged for longer, so they have more time to save up the money they want to throw the party. They also are asking more people to pitch in. So the bride's parents and the groom's parents and the couple are all pitching in together.
What they are not going back to is the days of the simple wedding. Weddings now fuel entire industries, including TV shows like Bridezilla's.
Rule of the day is do not ask Magdalena questions. Figure it out yourself.
Wedding fashion.
Weddings are a huge business, and it's largely unseen. $36 billion of that is spent on the actual wedding day itself, but there are all these surrounding industries. There's, $7 billion in honeymoon travel. There's $12 billion in jewelry purchases. There's $12 billion in gifts. So it really drives a lot of the American economy.
With all kinds of retailers getting in on the act, like Target, Ann Taylor, and J. Crew. Even wedding websites and magazines are enormous business these days.
My feeling is that is going to be great for the brides. right? More choice, more talent out there, kind of competing with one another to provide an incredible service at a reasonable price.
And so the competition to win couples like Kristen and Alex, who are shelling out tens of thousands of dollars, is intense.
It used to be that when you walked into, like carefully don't say wedding when you walk into a flower shop. Like brides don't want to feel like that they're the victims of this, and they want to feel like they're in control and that they feel like they're spending important money that they have earned. They care about these days. They want to be taken very seriously about it.
All to celebrate one big moment.
Kristen and Alessandro Mazzola.
Of course, the ceremony itself is the cheap part. After that 3-hour marathon photo session, the train was still on.
It's getting lighter and lighter with every drink I drink.
And it was time to party. The hall, the open bar, dinner for 125, and the cake. Grand total, $20,000.
She likes to go big. Big or stay home, as she always said.
Who knew with so much bad news on the economy these days, from foreclosures to 401ks, it turns out one of the few things that remains recession-proof is romance.
That's how it'll be until we're 127 sitting in the nursing home feeding each other Jell-O. It'll be the best Jell-O.
It'll be big Jell-O.
It'll be big Jell-O.
I'm Andrea Canning for Nightline in New York.